Microsoft Access Module number 3. This is session number 1. Maintaining and querying a database, but without knowing any programming language of SQL, we're going to use our database management system, Access, to do the good old drag and drop. I'm going to turn the page and I'm in my ebook. So here are the objectives for our chapter in session number 1. We're going to do all these lovely things of still making sure we understand what the pencil is with modifying and deleting a record that's in a table. Now you can change a record in a form, in a table, in a query, but remember you can't change a record or edit it in a report. I'll show you how to hide things when things get a little bit too big in a table. Talk about that query window, and then we'll get going and we really will create these questions to our database. Now I'm going to turn my ebook in here, and this is our lovely overview, which I love them. I hope you love them too. So I'll hit the plus sign to make it a little bigger over on the other side here. Every single one of the green cards must think of as like a flashcard in our study mate. So I try to put them in there for you. Now it gives us a picture of where we're going to head, and we're going to head into the create in the menu and then queries. Not use the wizard all the time though, okay? We're going to kind of do it in the design view too. So as we're looking at this, we have a bottom portion, kind of like how we did in the table design. And this bottom portion here is really how we pull the fields down, and then we're going to manipulate them with what order they're in. Go across here. And then also what sort we want. Do we want to see them? And then is there a question on them? Criteria. Now there's more, and I know this is an awkward screen, but that's how Cengage works this one. We'll also learn here this query by example, how Access can do this for you, and again, without you having to type in any of those command words. All right, turn the page here, right? And we are right here in maintaining a database. So make sure that you're inside of a canvas, and you should be on the folder for Access Module number 3. We're in the lovely one-stop shop folder, and then click on the second tab. It's task number 2, Learn. And then inside of here, we do have 2 files. Now, the first file is for the session number 1. The second file, then, if you took a break or you don't you want to all of a sudden participate with me and do it with the steps, then you can grab the file at the end of session 1, getting ready for session number 2. Both of those are available to you. So I'm going to pop right on in, and up in my title bar, I can see it's the Lakewood for module number 3, session number 1. I look down at my status bar. Let me see if I can bring this over just a tad. See how it says ready right there, and we're ready to work. So all of my objects, and remember there's 32,000 objects you can have over, or about 255 people using the same file at the same time. It's this empty area over here on this right side in here, and we want to make sure that this is where we're saying, where do we want to work? Do we want to work in tables or queries and forms? And then depending on what we're working in, then the menu up here will change, and then it'll have more menu options for that particular object. Now, just a little reminder where we were as we ended up in module number 2. We were on database tools and then relationships. And we created with a drag and drop how these tables then are talking to each other through the primary to the foreign key. And I can see each of the golden keys, so that indicates the primary key. Access changes that relationship to a one to many. So patient ID can show up one time only in patient, but it can show up many, many times in the visit. Just to confirm, I can double click my line. And then I also have the enforce integrity and cascade up, meaning, and we're going to go over this one in this module, that if I delete and I want to delete a record in the visit table, right, I have to be very careful and see if it's in the patient. So I don't want to delete a patient if they have a visit. I don't want to delete a visit if they have a bill out there. If I do that and I allow it, then my database will get corrupt. All right, let me close that, and then we're going to start in with updating a database. Donna, who is our boss, would like us to make some changes. So the table we're going to enter in first is the patient table. The patient table is the one that we did an import, and we added all of these lovely fields in, and we made a couple changes. That's why you see my name up in there. Now, some of you might notice that I have spaces in the titles in this one, and the last time I was using my file, I didn't. We don't particularly like spaces in our table name, but when we get to the queries and the forms reports, then that's okay. If you don't like that, okay, you just click on it, do a right click, and then you can easily rename them if you don't like the spaces in these. Okay. Let's just make sure that we're all on the same page. You're like, wait, that's really bugging me because I don't want it to. So if your table gets a little long and there's quite a few fields and you're working in here, but you don't want to see some fields, can you hide things? Yes, very easily. But hold on, wait a minute. There's something that I see on my screen that wasn't there in module number 2. And I don't know if you see it. So I'm going to open up the other tables here. Whoops, I got visit, I got billing, I got patient. And then I'm going to click on each one of these. And do you know something interesting on that screen? Do you see it? Do you see these plus signs now? Right? Billing doesn't have a plus sign, but the visit does, and the patient does. So if I go back up to the relationships, right, billing was kind of at the end here. So it's not relating then to another table, right? So that's why it doesn't have a plus sign, but visit does. And then as I click on any of my plus signs that I want to, it's showing now the relationship to another table. I know. Did you see that? That is pretty darn neat. All right, let me close that one and let's see. I want to make sure that I'm on the patient one. So I'm going to close the billing and then we're right here. All right, let's get back now. We're going to hide some fields. Take my mouse up to that field name. I get that field indicator. I'm going to click on it to select it. I do a right click. And inside of here, we have all these lovely things we can do, but we also have hide fields. So I'm going to hide fields. I'm also going to do that with my phone number, right? And then we're going to go down and we're just going to scroll down. Now, remember, you can move through your tables by the lovely tab key. You can use the control home or the control end, very easily to move around. You can use the shift tab too to go backwards. We're looking for this one right in here, and it's record 49. Now, remember, the place 49 will not stay with this record because as soon as I close it and come back, it always sorts by that primary key. So Jose here changed. What did he change? Oh, he moved. Okay, so let's just make address a little bit bigger. That's the structure on that. We're going to watch for the pencil. So no more Sycamore. It's 42 Ridge Road. And then we also have a new zip code. So I'm using my lovely tab key to move over. We see the pencil. We know that that sucker is there, right? And as I hit my tab key, watch that pencil, right? Now it's gone. That means another user who's in the same file as I am can now see that change. So hiding fields is kind of nice when there's some things you don't need to see and you're doing a lot of edits. But if you want to bring them back, bring your mouse back up to the top on that field indicator, do a right click, unhide fields, and then this is super nice. You can unhide everything all at once by just putting those checkbox back on in, which is lovely. Now, normally, I don't have to hit save because the pencil is gone, so it automatically changes my edit. But since I changed the width, it's going to ask me, do I want to save? But it's not the record content, it's the layout, it's the structure. And I'm going to hit yes on that. All right, let's go to our visit table, and we're going to go ahead and change an error in that. So let's go find 1528. Now, when you scroll down and you try to find things, it is time consuming. So we just scrolled down, but in a moment, we're going to learn how to use the find, and the find is definitely more efficient. So this patient right here didn't really come in for hypertension. This one came in for an annual wellness visit. Now watch my pencil. It is there. I hit my tab key and then my tab key again. The pencil is gone. And now let me prove it to you. I'm going to close it and then see if it asks me to save. And it doesn't. So even if I close my file and I come back to my visit table, that 1528 change will be there. That's what makes this database so important, so versatile, when you have a lot of users. All right, we're going to use the lovely find, but the find command, you have to be careful with it because you're like one step ahead of Microsoft Access. So if I click in patient ID, I'm telling it I want to find up and down in this field. If I click on the date of visit, and that's the caption, date of visit, right? The actual field name, let me just go back to the design view. The field name is visit date. Remember, the caption makes it more user-friendly. Do you remember by chance where the description goes? Well, let's see if you remember. I'm clicking on visit. Aha, you remembered. Yep, it shows right down here in the status bar. That's super nice. I did patient. There's the FK on that one. All right, so we want to find something in the visit ID, so I do have to make sure I click on that first before I go up to the home ribbon and click on find. If I don't do that, right, usually what pops up is the current field, okay? So I would have to change it to the current document so it understands to go through all the fields. If I just want to look in the one field, right, we can do that. So we're going to look for 1475, right? I'm going to hit find next. Sure enough, it cruised right to it. And you're like, well, there's only 86 records. I could have scrolled up and down. Yeah, but what if you have 50,086 records? That's when the find becomes so much easier to use. All right, I'm going to hit cancel. Now we'd like to delete this record. So now, before I do this, I'm going to tell you right away it's not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work. All right, I'm going to click on that row or the column, sorry, the record indicator, right? And then I'm going to hit delete, or I could do a right click. And then this message comes up because you cannot do this. You cannot do it because it is related to another record. Wait, what do you mean? All right, let me hit OK. Let me hit the plus sign. And you remember that checkbox that we clicked on in the relationships to say that cascade upward? So we can't delete this visit because it has a related record to it for invoice number. All right, I'm going to cruise back to my ebook real quick and go to the table of contents and then cruise down to where it says deleting records, and let me scroll down right here. And then I put a little note on this one too, because it is a very important point to realize because that relates back to what we learned in chapter number 3, all about this rules for a relational database, and then we have the entity integrity and the referential integrity, right? And it says right here, when you enforce that, it prevents the deletion of a record that's in another table because we want to make sure we don't have a record that we're billing somebody, but yet they're not a patient or they didn't visit, because then again, that would be chaotic, right? Now, here's the cool thing. Let me go prove that to you. Okay, so it's 1475. Okay, invoice November 20th. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and copy it. Let's go to the billing table, right? Do the find on that one. Let me go and paste this baby in there. Let's see if we can find it. Sure enough, I proved it to you. So here is that billing. It is in, sure enough, visit ID 1475, right? Let me close that, go back to visit. There, as I say, and I know you're like, wait. When I keep saying they're talking to each other, we made the relationship from the primary key to the foreign key to these two tables. So now they truly are talking to each other. So we cannot delete this first one in the visit without first deleting the invoice number. Now, you would think I would have to go back to the billing, delete this record, then open up visit, then delete it. But here's the lovely thing when you have the plus signs. I can delete it here, all because of that cascade upward. Now click this record, hit delete. Are you sure? Access double checks ya. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? And then I can hit yes. So that whole idea of having a relationship and have them talk to each other then now is enforced. And that definitely is what we would like. Okay, let me close this one. And then of course my changes are going to be there, right? And I'm going to head right back down to the ebook here and scooch on over to the table of contents, excuse me, and we're on the introduction of a query. Okay, what is a query? So a query is a saved question, okay? As your database gets updated with new records and you run the same question every single day, it will pull the records that match it, even with the new updated ones. So a query allows you to display whichever fields and records that you like. Also lets you sort them. You can perform calculations, which are called expressions inside database. You can create that data entry easy to use form. You can make that query pretty in a report. You can update things and you can find and pull things from one table, two tables, three tables. You can always do from a query. So you could query off a query off a query. So when we see queries, and we did this in module number 1 when we used the wizard to make a simple query, when you display it, it's not a duplicate record. Your database isn't saving this data anywhere except in your tables. The tables is the most important object because that's where all your raw data is stored. So when you run a query, it is the result, meaning it's a record set because as soon as you close the query, think of it like the records fly right back into the tables. Okay, it's just a temporary quick view. Now we do have that lovely query wizard that walks you through the step, but then we also have the design view, and we're going to do both of those. So I'm going to go head back to Microsoft Access, right? And everything is closed. My where do I want to work window is empty. Up to the menu we go. Let's click on Create and then the query wizard. So I'm in the query grouping. So we could do design. We're headed there, but we're going to go through the wizard first. All right, it's going to ask us which type of query wizard we would like. We're going to stick with the simple one. Hit OK. It asks us what table we would like. And remember, you can grab from more than one table and lots of different queries. You can grab whatever fields you want from any of these. We're going to grab the patient one, right? And then we're going to figure out which fields do we want to bring over. So we're going to bring over, I think we're going to bring over all of these babies. Oh, I'm sorry. I did this wrong. I got ahead of myself. Let's try this again. We're going to go through the query design. We're not even going to do the wizard first. We're going to do the design first. All right, I'm good with that. All right, the wizard, and I guess it was good to show you the wizard again because it kind of walks you through those steps to create your question. Lovely, but it doesn't give you a place where to put a condition on it, like only give me these records that meet this criteria. In the query design, I want you to notice how we have a brand new menu that popped up in here. Oh yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things that you can do. So in this one, we can create from our question from all these tables. If you have some queries in there too, you can definitely do that. And we're just going to grab the one table and click on patient and then hit add. You could double click on it too. So it kind of feels almost like that relationship window again. All right, now we only have a question and it's only going to hit this one table for now. So we need to bring the fields down to this bottom part. So the bottom part really is the design of our query. So we can use the drop down and tell it which one. You can double click or you click and drag it on down. So I'm going to go to the patient ID, click, hold on. See how I bring it down? It says no, 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 but then yes, and you just drop it. Since it knew it was from this table, it populates this for me and it says the patient ID from the patient table, which is lovely. Now we're going to throw in the last name. So now I'm going to just double click because that's another way I can do it. The first name, the city, and then the email. Now, if I make a mistake, that's okay. Bring my mouse down and I have the indicator again, the black arrow. I can click on it, hit the delete key on the keyboard, and now it's gone. So if you made a mistake, it's okay. It's really easy to fix. And in the next video, I'll show you how to move these around too. Okay. So I'm going to go back and bring the email. I'm going to click, hold on, and just bring it on down. Now it automatically will put the checkbox in for each one of these, saying that I would like to see them in that temporary view. All right. Now this is kind of goofy. We have two different ways we can run the query. You got the lovely run button, or we have that drop down view right in here and you say the datasheet view. Now, did you notice we have the SQL view too? Because we are dragging and dropping or double clicking, but Access behind the scenes is actually doing the coding for us. The current view we really are on right now is the design view. So I'm going to click Run, which is the same as the datasheet view. So hit Run. So here's that temporary, that subset. It's not giving me duplicates. It's just pulling the records that meet these conditions, right, quickly. And then as soon as I close it, it'll be gone. So we have 51 records. Now I'm just going to double click my patient just to prove it to you. Down below, sure enough, we really do have 51 records. So it did that. All right, we need to save this query. So I hit the save button, and this is going to be called the patient email. Email. All right, I'm going to hit OK. All right, now just to get, we introduced SQL coding in chapter number 3 because I wanted to get you going with that to view it. So let's view it again. So I'm going to go to the SQL view. Oops. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Let me get the zoom. Oh, goodness, that's a little big, but that's okay. Let me shrink that one down and click someplace else. And can I bring this over a little bit? Goodness gracious. I don't want to delete it. There we go. Kind of, sort of. There we go. Whoops. Makes your car sick. I'm sorry. All right, let's read this. So we have what we call, remember the heading, and we have the body. Uh, the heading is those attributes. The body then is the relationship. If you're thinking what it is, you can go back to our chapter number 3 PowerPoint. I'm right around slide number 23 and 24, right in there. So the command, which Access did this for us, is select from the table of patient dot, and that separates the table name from the field name. Give me the field patient ID, comma, and then what? Go to this table, find this field, comma, go to this table, find this field, comma, go to this table, find this field, comma. Same idea. Notice no comma at the end, because that comma is telling it and then what to do. We want to get out of that heading, go to the body, and then from, meaning what table do I want to, and then wipe your feet at the end, meaning we have to have the semicolon to tell it that we're done. Now, this way of doing it is extremely particular with putting the table name right in front. We will see, because there's a lot of different dialects of SQL, sometimes you won't need the table name in front of it. You can just put the table name right down in the from statement. All right, let me shrink this right back on down. Sorry, it's a little big on that one. And let's go back to the datasheet view. Now, can you even though this is a temporary view of your data, can you update your data in a query? Yes. Yes, you can. All right, let's go find patient 13256 right here, which is Drew. Drew does not particularly like that his name is Drew. He wants it to be Andrew in here. We want to be formal. And then we're also going to change, we're going to change I think we're going to leave the email alone, which sounds good. I'm going to hit my tab key just to make sure the pencil is gone. Now we are currently in the query, okay, right there, patient email, okay, and there is Andrew for the 13256. So now let's go prove it. All right, let's go to the patient table. Then there is 13256, and sure enough, it's Andrew. Okay, so remember the idea is that you can make a change in your tables, in your queries, in your forms, not your reports. All your data, the raw values, are really stored in your tables. These other ones are just a quick grab. It's a quick grab. And forms is really just the view of it. All right, until our next video.